Well, good evening from the Law Enforcement Center on Southgate Parkway in Cambridge. I'm Dave Wilson, one of your county commissioners. We've got County Commissioners Dave Saft and Skip Gardner on hand as well. But joining me is the Sheriff of Guernsey County, Jeff Paden. And Jeff,
Yes, sir.
Focus that we've got right now is on the 911 levy, and we are here to inform our voters in the county exactly what the issue is all about, and hopefully take some questions over on Facebook so that they can have a chance to interact and let us explain to them some of the details surrounding the issue.
Exactly. Good evening. The last thing I've ever wanted to do was come to you as sheriff. I've been sheriff for 1 year, 11 months, and 2 days. And the last thing I wanted to do was come to you with a levy. We tried a sales tax, but we're maxed out on sales tax. Unfortunately, we have unfunded mandates that came down from the state. The state is telling us, since we have the PSAP, which is the 911 system that comes into Guernsey County Sheriff's Office, we answer all the wireless phone calls for the whole county, Cambridge, everyone. And you know, Dave, that we have at least, 80% of the people in Guernsey County probably have a cell phone?
Sure.
And so all those wireless 911 calls come into us, and then we disperse them after that. But what the state is telling us we need to do is we have to be EMD certified, Emergency Medical Dispatcher certified. Our dispatchers have to be that, and also we have to have 2 a shift. We only have one per shift right now, which we're only about 5 counties in the state of Ohio who only have 1 per shift. They're telling us we have to have 2 per shift, which is going to increase the cost double in dispatch.
Well, let's pause there for a minute.
Sure.
Because one of the obvious questions right now might be, as we're with a single dispatcher on duty right now.
Correct.
What is the process if you get a second call or maybe even a third call on 911? How's that handled right now?
Right now, it'll go over to a second CAD system that we have, a second computer system. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't get answered at that point in time, then it'll bleed over to, like, say, the Cambridge Police Department. And then if they don't get to it, it'll go to the State Patrol. So we have a different system in place. A lot of times we'll be able to answer them because we'll send a deputy up, or if we have a person up in dispatch sitting there, they can answer the 911 call until our regular dispatcher can get to it.
So then the big difference is that you're going to be mandated to have 2 dispatchers on duty 24/7 dedicated specifically to handling Guernsey County's 911 calls.
Yes.
And on top of that, being emergency medical dispatchers. Now, what kind of training, how are they going to have to be equipped and educated to get that kind of certification?
To get that kind of certification, there's a program that we have to purchase. It's a $49,000 program, and what it does is if you call in for a medical emergency, we'll type in what is going on on that medical emergency, and it'll do play-by-play on how we need to respond back to you in order to get the medical attention that person needs. We have to stay on the phone with that person until they feel comfortable in hanging up, or until the ambulance gets there. So we have to stay on that phone the entire time, and that's why we have to have 2 dispatchers. If we don't have 2 dispatchers, how are we going to do that if another 911 call comes in?
Well, that's a great application, obviously, to have, but it's also a pricey one because you're looking at what I believe just shy of $50,000 for that software package.
Exactly. I mean, nothing's cheap when it comes to the computer world.
Sure.
A lot of this money will be, the majority of it will be for salaries. Mm-hmm. A lot of it will be going to updating our equipment, making 2 stations, certified stations. We have to have modules for the 911. So what happens if we don't do this is the big thing.
Sure.
If we do not get 2 dispatchers per shift, the 911 calls will no longer come into us. When I say that, I mean the wireless 911 calls. We will still get the landlines. Cambridge will get the landlines. We will get the landlines. But like I said earlier, 80% of the people have cell phones, if not more. And all those calls will no longer come to us. It will be routed to another county, such as Franklin County, Licking County, a bigger county that has more dispatchers.
And, this is something we've talked about before, both privately and publicly, is, we're so accustomed being, especially those of us that have lived here all of our lives, we're accustomed to having landmarks as opposed to addresses.
Yes.
And maybe state route numbers, but they've actually got road names attached to them, whatever the case may be. We know it, but people from out of town, they're going to strictly go by those guidelines.
Exactly.
It's just like we cited the example, I'm out here where Madison School used to be, or I'm down where Kingpin used to be, or whatever the case may be. Somebody from outside the county can't relate to that. Now, maybe they can pin it down sooner or later, but you're going to lose some critical time in the meantime.
Oh, we're going to lose the personal touch. Totally. We know how to send people quicker to that route. We don't know how long it's going to take to go to that county and then come back to us. Mm-hmm. It's going to be routed, the 911 call will be routed to another county. They'll answer it, route it back to us. Seconds, minutes, that makes all the difference in the world. And we do not want that to happen. That's why we need to pass this levy.
Well, we remind you, too, as you're watching this on Facebook, and by the looks of it, we have a number of people that are logged on right now. We want to remind you that we want your questions. If there's something that's on your mind, something you need clarified, we're going to try to touch on as many things as we can. But you know the specifics that you want to know as you make a judgment on whether or not you are going to support the levy or whatever the case may be. Some things I'd like to touch on, because these are some things I've seen on Facebook or heard on the street, whatever the case may be. There was a question about why will the Cambridge police stop taking 911 calls when they move into the new building, and you have a pretty simple answer for that.
They never did take 911 calls, wireless 911 calls. We have always answered all the 911 wireless calls and then routed them to whoever needed it. Their pertinent police department, state patrol.
Well, the police department really doesn't handle 911 calls, period. That's something that you take, and when it's something within their jurisdiction, transfer it to them, then they dispatch the officers, correct?
That's on wireless. Landlines inside the city limits, they do take.
Okay.
The hard line into your house. They take those calls. Wireless, no, they don't. And they're not mandated to be under the same qualifications as we are. Since we own the PSAP, the computer system that takes the wireless calls, we are mandated to be EMD certified, Emergency Medical Dispatcher certified. They are not. That's why it's so crucial for us to have that 2 dispatchers a shift. That's why we're EMD certified.
Now, you do get some money from the state if you are a qualified PSAP, correct?
Absolutely. We get, if you look on your cell phone bill, there's a tax that you get or a fee, and that fee goes directly to us. That's about between $80,000 and $90,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't pay salaries out of that. We use that to maintain our equipment, our 911. There's updates we have to do, everything associated with 911, or the computer system, or the dispatch system up in the dispatch.
Okay. Now, I know there was a comment that if the sheriff's office and the Cambridge Police Department trained all of their dispatchers to be EMD, everything could pretty much stay the way it is right now, but really it can't.
No.
Just because of what reason?
Well, first of all, they're going to be relocating to, up to uptown, up to the Huntington Bank. We're going to stay down here, so that you're going to have not the side-by-side dispatching anymore. We've outgrown our building. They have outgrown this building. They need more space too. That's why they're leaving. They need more space to office space. So do we. We are responsible for the PSAP. They are not. So that is why we need the 2 dispatchers per shift. They are not mandated to do that at all. They're mandated to, answer their landline 911 calls, and answer anything that we would transfer to them.
Now, I see that we do have some comments that are coming in there. We got Tina Harper that said, when I worked at a small dispatch center in Columbus on a federal post, we had at least 2 dispatchers on duty at all times, and usually a lead dispatcher. It should definitely be a mandate to have 2 on duty, and that's something I'm sure you agree with. It comes down to dollars and cents.
Oh, absolutely. We have, our dispatchers are overworked. For instance, we dispatch for 16 fire departments, 13 in the county. We have 12 squads we dispatch for. We have 7 law enforcement agencies we deal with one time or another. I normally play a phone call when I go do these talks of a 911 call that happened in our county. It's a very stressful call that I play for a live audience, but it's not appropriate to play on this setting. But it shows how busy a dispatcher can get. It's just, you cannot concentrate. If you would have 2 911 calls coming in at the same time, it's just almost impossible. I've worked dispatch for 4 months at a time, and I'm about ready to pull my hair out. It's a very stressful, high-stress job.
Now, see, Rick Asterline is asking how much is the current 911 fees, how much is collected from land-based phones. You mentioned the cell phones, what they generated per year. Land-based phones, is that lumped together? Or is that a separate entity?
I'm not aware of anything we collect from land-based phones. I know we do get the fees from the wireless phones, if you'd see on your bills, and that's $80,000 to $90,000. But again, we don't use that for salaries. It's very costly to keep the system up and running, and that's what we use for the 911 system itself.
Okay, Judy Dolan, thank you for asking a question here, wondering how much will it cost us in Guernsey County after it passes per person, and I think you have some pretty simple math on that.
It's a great question. Again, this is the last thing I wanted to do. I own land, I own my own home. My wife and I don't want to pay any more taxes, but we realize that this is a big deal for Guernsey County to keep it local. So if you own a $100,000 home, it'll cost you $35 a year on a $100,000 home. That's a couple pizzas. So to me, it's very important. I still have to pay the taxes too. I'm not exempt from it. So do you, Commissioner?
Yeah, that's right.
But there's certain things that you just you feel confident in. You have to vote yes for.
Well, it really comes down to an investment.
Exactly.
It's tough to put a price on personal safety and speed. Sometimes seconds do count. Question about Guernsey and Noble County possibly cooperating together and maybe combining into one 911 call center, so to speak, at least having the calls roll over from one to the other. That's something you have discussed with the Noble County Sheriff.
Yeah, we've discussed it. I think he's trying to do the same route we are. We want to keep our 911 system. So we haven't explored any more than that. We have to concentrate on what's good for Guernsey County, and then maybe discuss with other counties if they need our help. Our citizens here are back us up a lot of times. I think they like the sheriff's office. I feel that. Yeah. But another thing that's very important with this money, we're going to use this money also to help the local fire departments pay for or help pay for their fees for the Marks radio system. Our fire departments have struggled for years. The radio system has been terrible. We tone on 2 different frequencies. And no one's on the same page. What this Marks will do is we'll help pay for the user fees, and then we'll all have the same radio communication. Also, what we want to do with the sheriff's office and our IT guys here, Kenny, what we want to do is put laptops in the engine, and if they have a squad, in the squad also. In our CAD system, we want to implement that with the fire departments to better route them to calls. It'll route them right to calls. It'll show what fire departments are on scene. It'll give them their times quicker. It'll be more efficient, and we got to get up to par, with the updates that we have here in technology. We need to get there.
I'd like to come back and build on that, but a question from Benjamin Bonnell. What will happen if the levy were to be turned down by the voters?
In my opinion, that's going to be a catastrophic failure. Our 911 calls will not be answered by our sheriff's office. Like I say, they will be routed to another facility, and Ben knows, he's in the medical field, that seconds mean everything in this field. Personal touch means everything in this field.
Sure does.
Knowing people, and that's what I like about Guernsey County. This is a smaller county, 41,000, Commissioner, people that live here, and you can make your personal touch. You can make your friends. You don't get that in a big city at all.
No, you don't. And those relationships are incredibly important. And going back to what you were saying about helping out with the Marks radio fees for our county volunteer companies, that kind of goes along with that. You've got, with the mutual aid and the relationship that's enjoyed among our volunteer fire companies and also our full-time fire company with what the city of Cambridge has. Everybody works together, and they work together quite well, but we need them to be able to talk to each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if you have a large scene where you have, well, look at it this way. We're at I-70 and I-77.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen at any point in time.
Exactly right. And you want things to be responded to quickly and effectively and have that kind of communication. And there are so many things this would set us up with Marks. And also, we've been working in our office to do our best to try to get our broadband capabilities improved in the county.
Yes.
And if we could get those things to both work in sync, to have the MARC system employed countywide, and also to have broadband capabilities where with Guernsey County, our map department is employing the global information satellites where the mapping is going to be very concise. And with that...
Updates all the time, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yes.
And so that is something that will be accessible to the general public as well, but most importantly to EMS, to first responders, to law enforcement, to fire, to be able to analyze before they even get to the scene exactly logistically what they're going to see.
Absolutely.
This all ties together.
Communication is everything in this business. Everything in the law enforcement business, fire department, anybody who raises the ambulance service, it's the key to everything. If you can't communicate with each other, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've had that. We've had that when we've been on calls where we just don't know. I mean, you know, your backup could be a half an hour away. You don't have any radio communication. You got to have the gift of gab. We want to make sure we get radio communication. Our office is on MARCs now, and it's made all the difference in the world. So we need all the fire departments to be on MARCs. We need to all communicate and be on the same page. Let me just give you a couple of statistics real quick, Commissioner.
And by the way, before you do that, I want to say thank you to Missy Bell, also to Kim McHugh, Don Bridget West, and I saw another name that scrolled past. I didn't quite pick up on that one. Josh Eubanks.
Ed Jones, he used to work with us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Mike Gibson, former Bisol Police Chief. And Marshal, I do believe.
Hey,
sorry if you missed it. How much per year is this expected to generate? And I believe that is just over $800,000 a year.
Yes, and then I spoke to Mr. Brown, and he said that it flows, it ebb and flows. You know, 1 year it might be 800,000. 1 year it might be 850,000. 1 year it might be 750,000. We just don't know the numbers. And this is a levy that's up every 5 years. It doesn't last for life. So we will have to renew it every 5 years.
Melanie Carpenter is asking whether there be a fee incurred on our county if the levy fails and we have to defer to Franklin or some other county. It's not as much another fee as much as it is we lose money.
Well, we're going to lose that $80,000 to $90,000 that we get right now, that we live on up in dispatch. We don't have a lot of extra money here at the Sheriff's Office. You know, we all got to watch our pennies. And we're going to lose that $80,000 to $90,000 that we use to keep our 911 system current. If we lose the wireless, then we won't even be able to use that at all for our landline 911 system and our radio system.
Jeremy Graham is asking, once the levy passes, what's the time frame to be fully functional within Guernsey County?
May. So we'll have to start right away on this, and I like it when they say when it passes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that attitude. Thank you, Jeremy. And also, Charlie Reiser is making a very good point. He says lives out on the county line out by Fairview. It takes long enough for a deputy to get here, as it is. We need to keep our dispatch to stay local. To keep the rural communities safe, and I could not agree more.
I can't agree with him more, because once we're EMD certified, we're going to be able to help him with a medical emergency. As long as it takes us to get there, it takes a squad to get there, and maybe we can assist that person on the phone until that squad gets there.
This kind of dovetails with Jeremy Graham's question from ABC News. The question has been passed along to us that if the levy passes, how soon would the hiring and training begin for the additional dispatchers?
We're going to start right away. We would probably start in December. It's going to take a little while to get these guys, because we have to train our current staff too also to be EMD certified. And obviously we're going to have to reconfigure the dispatch area once we're able to, once Cambridge gets to where they need to be. So that's our time frame.
Now, get another question from Missy Bell. Will there be layoffs if the levy fails?
Oh, I hate to say that, Missy. I think the commissioners would have to work with us on that. That $90,000 is going to be huge for the sheriff's office. If we don't have that $90,000 to help run some things, I don't want to do layoffs, but there's not a whole lot of money to play with.
I want to say thanks to Jolene King, who said, got my vote. My husband's a member of the Old Washington Volunteer Fire Department. Definitely a much needed service and update. And also Amanda Gross, who says that we definitely have her vote. Hands down, there's no question that voting yes is the smartest and safest choice for our county. And Christy Pollock-Rome is saying, please vote yes, we need this. And thank you, Christy. We couldn't agree more. And by the way, Kathy Hibbler, who is our CPA at the county building and has intimate knowledge, as we all know, of our budget, and we do appreciate it, saying that $0 are generated from landline.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so
and
that's
then, Sean, you might want to read his.
Yeah, Sean Gress from the Guernsey County Senior Center. 911 services are vital to the safety of our county. Please vote yes to support both 911 and the Meals on Wheels.
And the Meals on Wheels.
There you go. And which is very important because
absolutely
not just the nutrition, it's daily. You've got people out in the county, elderly, that are getting some human contact every day just to make sure everybody's okay.
And let me tell you real quick before you read any more names, I'm one of the biggest fans of volunteer firemen that you'll find. You know, these guys do it for free.
Yeah.
And they risk their lives. They go out and do it for free. And the squad people do it for free.
Not only do they do it for free, they turnout gear cost an arm and a leg. I mean, they have a huge investment. So it goes beyond just doing something free. That's quite a group of men and women.
And, you know, I'm just not tooting the horn because of this levy. I've always, thought of them highly. They're risking their life for other people when they have families at home also.
Thank you to Shanna Malone, who's voting yes. Katrina Miller says, you have my vote too. Rick Casterline is saying thanks for passing the information along. Kurt Loffman said, why would we lose the $90,000 if the levy fails? And that's simply because that is the money that the state will give to a PSAP or the Public Service Access Point.
Yes, that's the money that we generate off of the 911 phones, the wireless 911 phones. If we are no longer able to answer that $90,000 will go to whoever's going to answer our wireless calls.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Sean Flanagan definitely got his vote, and also, or that could be a her. I don't know. Sean, sorry. Either way. What's that? It's a male. It's a male. Thank you. Okay, we have confirmation. Thank you. Also, Beth Kuhn, who says, how can you not vote for this? Good question from Tina Harper saying, does United dispatch EMD currently?
No, they don't. Thank you, Ben. Ben's in the audience. They do not. For years, we've been told, they stressed to us for years, do not ever give medical advice over the phone. That has changed. Times are changing, and now we have to give medical advice over the phone. That's why the PSAP that we're going to get, or the program that we're going to get, will cover us in a lawsuit, the $49,000 program that we're going to get. If we follow it step by step by step, it will cover us in a lawsuit. In case we would get sued by giving some wrong medical advice.
Justin Turner says we've got his support. Also had nice comments from Shanna Malone and Katrina Miller. Thank you there. Amy Workman saying most definitely voting yes. Antrim Volunteer Fire Department deserves this safety for them and us. Vote yes. Thank you very much, Amy.
Absolutely. Amy.
Don Bridget West, they're saying definitely have their vote. Being a volunteer firefighter and EMT.
Thank you.
Nikki Stewart got Nikki's vote. Got Kristen Baird's vote as well. Justin Turner, is the state mandating this, and if so, are they helping with grants? With this or anything, and I can tell you the answer to that, no.
No, unfunded mandate.
It's another unfunded mandate. Commissioner Saft and Gardner, do we get unfunded mandates in Guernsey County? Yeah, bunches, and it really presents a challenge to us.
It does.
Dave Deal says, my son is a volunteer firefighter in Old Washington. You have our vote for sure.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ron Brokaw, as a firefighter and EMT, please vote yes. Ron, thanks you.
Ron. And
everybody else in the Castle community there. Jody Molesky-Searson, you have my vote. Thank you. Also, Susan Snedden got her vote for sure. Shannon Tracy Hendershot, thank you. Got their vote. Mike Gibson is asking, is this how other counties are funding their emergency medical dispatch centers?
They have the wireless money, but most counties are larger than us, and they can afford their 2 dispatchers.
One of the counties that was mentioned to us, or at least that we saw on Facebook, was Belmont County.
Yes.
Runs a central dispatch center, and they do it on a budget according to what we saw online of $1.2 million a year. But that's also a county of better than twice our size. With a number of incorporated communities.
I think you looked that up, didn't you?
Yeah, we were talking earlier at the office about the number of police departments that we have in Guernsey County. And, we've got the Cambridge Police, Byesville Police, and we have a police officer in Senecaville as well. But in Belmont County, stop and think. You've got St. Clairsville, you've got Shadyside, Bel Air, Bridgeport, Martins Ferry, Dillon Vale, Barnesville, and I'm sure there are others that I'm not that I'm missing here, and I'm sure those communities are paying into a fund, and we just don't have that big of a pot to draw from here.
So we are the 911 center.
Yeah,
we dispatch for everybody. Real quick, I want to talk about cell phone pinging. We use the 911 system to ping cell phones for people who are missing, lost, like at Salt Fork. They get lost in the woods. We use our system now that we can ping to find out where they're at so we can get to them quicker. If this levee goes down, we will not have that capability through our wireless system.
Also want to thank Beth Wolf. Says that you have my vote. We need to keep dispatch in our local community. Jason Rose says you've got my vote. And thank you to Sandy Schubert for passing a question along about pinging cell phones.
Yes, thanks.
Megan Marlette Bonnell, Sheriff Paden, thank you for fighting so hard for our community. Couldn't fathom waiting several minutes for medical attention if my family ever needed it. You have my vote and support. Chad Mills says, everyone that's saying they're voting yes, please educate everyone you know on why voting yes is such a good idea.
Yes.
This is vital to public safety. You have my vote for sure, and thank you. Because it goes beyond just having an opinion. You need to be informed,
yeah.
And we're giving you that information. And if you have any doubts or any questions, that's why we're here for you tonight. Karen Rowe Walker saying my vote is yes. Thank you, Karen. Ed Jones, Sheriff's Office has been doing a great job clearing out the drugs in this county. And with help from other agencies, let's try to make their jobs more efficient and safer for our county. Vote yes. And we've got Tawana L. Wheatley's vote there as well. Thank you.
I worked with him in the jail. He was a fun guy to work with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've known Ed for a day or two.
Yeah.
And thanks to Chris Gibson Turner there as well, and to Will Baker for your nice comments there. But let's talk about the cooperation that you've got. This is separate from 911,
sure.
But this is something that also takes money. And that is the unprecedented cooperation that we have right now among the Guernsey County Sheriff's Office, the Cambridge Police, the Byesville Police, and really a huge role being undertaken by the Cambridge Post and the State Highway Patrol. We've never had all of these agencies working together.
No, we have to do this we joined a code task force, which is a drug task force, to where we utilize each other. Now, State Patrol is not in that, but we are utilizing them. They are part of our code task force. Cambridge, everybody in Guernsey County, we've been working well together. We have to if we're going to combat this drug problem. You got to let all the egos go.
Yeah.
You got to help each other, and that's what we're here for. I'm here for the citizens of Guernsey County. So are all the guys that work here at the Sheriff's Office. And for my sake, I got to tell you, I can't do it without my staff. I have one of the best staffs in Ohio. They work hard. They dedicate their hours. They work for comp time, because there's not a whole lot of overtime. So that in itself is an awesome thing.
You have no idea how hard this Sheriff's Office works to get the most for every taxpayer dollar. And you mentioned, as opposed to overtime, doing comp time,
yes.
flex time, whatever the case may be, and we really do greatly appreciate that.
And my jail, real quick. My jail staff does a tremendous job. Lieutenant Stoney with the jail staff. We only hold 66 people. We've been up into the 106 range at the jail with the same staff. So that's a lot of people to watch with the same crew, and it can be very risky.
Mike Gibson, thank you for your support and your post there. Sounds like a no-brainer on voting yes, and we couldn't agree more, and appreciate your questions too and your service. John Ingram Jr., thank you for your vote. Nancy Knox Douglas, you have my vote. It's a must for our county. Can't say enough thank yous for the great job that your staff is doing, and 911 is a must. Thank you, Nancy. Harold Lester Workman, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I take great comments.
I'll tell you what, Zach Cole.
This is why I love Guernsey County.
I'll tell you, being a couple of hometown boys, we do really appreciate that because we are all in this together. I mean, that's the way we approach things at the Commissioner's office.
Oh,
and you guys have the same philosophy here.
Team effect.
I'll tell you, really.
We're a team.
And we all work quite well together. Now, there's Jeff Deeks. You have a great name, Sheriff. And I'll tell you, we
Jeff.
We think a lot of our fire chief there.
Oh, yeah.
Great
Jeff
guy.
and Jeff.
Yeah, there you go. And Beth Kuhn, thank you so much for your comments there as well. And Ryan Smith, Zach Cole, we do appreciate it. I'm just looking at some of the other notes
I didn't give these
that
stats.
we've got here. Yeah, go ahead.
So in 2016, 911 calls were, I'm going to take my glasses off because I can't read with them on, 44,775. Landline calls were 168,189 for a total call volume of 212,964. Total hours on the phone, 4,436 hours, more than 16 hours a day on the phone. Now you got to understand, our dispatchers also answer everything at the window, any citizens coming to the window, and they also dispatch for everybody. So 16 hours a day on the phone. Also on the radio, we don't know how many hours they are on the radio, or answering questions out the window. They are quite overworked.
Oh, my.
And plus, this is going to give Guernsey County a better service, a quicker service with everything. Fire, EMS, Sheriff's Office.
And it's great, too, that you have that level of proficiency and ability and dedication to build on as you expand the staff with the successful package, the 911 levy. And we really do, or I personally, I know we both are very encouraged at the feedback that we're getting here. I like Will Baker's comment there. I'm from Noble, but I think you guys are doing an awesome job. Work side by side with you all at United. So
Yeah,
thank you
thanks,
very
Will.
much, Will. We really do appreciate it. Now, let's talk about the EMD training. That is something that is incorporated into the actual cost of the software package that you'll be mandated to purchase, correct?
Correct, and that's what gives us our insurance plan also. That $49,000 program will give us our training, and then they will back us up on any kind of lawsuit. You know how lawsuits are this day and age. They're out there all the time. But if we follow the program as we type it, they will back us, which is huge.
Oh, sure.
I mean, and that's, sure, you hear of maybe free or almost free training for EMD training, but you're not going to get the coverage of a program and also the coverage of if a lawsuit happens.
Jody Dolan says, thanks also at ABC Communications for doing this so people can be educated about the 911 levy. And thank you. We got Adam Green that is pushing the buttons and turning the knobs and making this whole thing happen today. And Joel Osigo, owner general manager, is
Yes.
here as well. And I really appreciate it, guys. And of course, it's not like I don't have any bias. I hung around up there for a little while.
Right.
But we do appreciate that. Let's see. We've got something else here. If I can find that. Kelsey Marie Flesher saying Jeff Paden has always been an amazing individual. Appreciate that.
I'll pay you later.
Yeah, there you go. Couldn't have a better guy in there. And good job, you guys. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Let's see. I'm going to.
It comes up on the screen.
Okay.
And they can't hang up.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that when you. We
Sure.
got a question from the side.
Okay.
Asking about what you see on screen in the 911 call center. And let's say somebody calls in and says, I'm experiencing chest pain. Where does it go from there?
If we right now, currently, we just transfer to United. We don't give any medical advice at all. Or we transfer to, we just tell the squad over the radio, the volunteer fire department, what the call entails. And sometimes they can't even tell what we're saying because of our radio system. So what's going to happen here is if with the computer program, is if they call in, they say a 47-year-old male is having chest pains, we'll just type that into the program, and it'll tell us next question that we need to ask. And it'll go from there on down, question by question, for that patient. And then if they feel comfortable in hanging up, they'll hang up. If they want to stay on the line until the squad gets there, we will stay on the line the entire time. Now, that could be 20 minutes.
Sure.
There's places out in the county you don't get to in 5 minutes. I mean, that could be 15, 20 minutes, and that means all the difference in the world. And if we can give medical advice during that time frame, I mean, you just look it up on YouTube now, all the medical calls where people save lives by doing this.
That's right. We're giving them the advice that they need, and plus being that reassuring voice, that
calming voice on the other end.
Yeah, and especially if somebody is assisting somebody else, to talk them down and get them focused. Boy, that means so much.
And with that person talking to that live on the phone, the next dispatch can relay to United, to Antrim, to whatever squad's going, the stuff that they're saying to us on the phone. so they can get their equipment prepared or know what they're going into.
We've got some other comments. Aaron Coulter, absolute vote yes. Thank you, Aaron.
What's up, Aaron, on your transport?
There you go. I got Landon Newhamel saying, as a native of Cambridge, now in Zanesville, I want to see nothing but the best for my family and friends, providing 911 services in Guernsey County. Thank you, Landon. Zach Tidrick saying, keep up the good work, Sheriff. You have my vote. And it's nice to see that, and folks do appreciate that. And we see the likes that are floating past the screen, and it's nice to know we've got that kind of support. And you see the information, or hear it that we're talking about here tonight, and giving you answers to the questions that are being offered. And we hope, in addition to you personally supporting it and putting your name behind this as you make your comments on Facebook, really encourage you to talk to your family and friends, whatever your circle
Word of mouth.
Influence is.
Yes.
Because that's really what it comes down to. People want to know how people that they hold in high regard, people where they put some faith in their judgment and their opinion. You're the eyes and ears out there, and we would appreciate whatever you can do.
Yeah, this is a very low budget affair.
Yes.
This is coming out of Jeff's pocket affair. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of talks, and word of mouth is the way it's going to get. You can see my one sign that I have, right by the sheriff's office coming in. It's pretty poor, but it tells what it needs to tell.
Oh, I think you did a fine job.
Oh, really? My wife did most of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I kind of figured that was probably the case.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a little more artistic.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Right.
Thank you to Susan Mahaffey Wing. Said, couldn't imagine a 911 call going to another county to be answered and then coming back here to be dispatched. Someone's life is on the line. Amanda McCoy Johnson saying, investing in your county is vital to our community. I can't fathom why this would not pass. These are precious life-saving moments from the time of the call to when help arrives. And that's another thing to underscore. You can think, how bad is it if a call goes to another county? Again, if you're dealing with landmarks,
yes.
Just because you're driving down the road doesn't mean you know the road name.
No.
And look how many 5-digit house numbers that we have in the county. Stop and think of that as a for instance, and then to try to give an adequate enough description. To get people. I want to thank Donald Warnock. Says Sheriff Paden has worked very hard to improve things with emergency response agencies. We are grateful for that, Sheriff. Now he's got a question.
Sure.
Told some of us the Cambridge Police will not be training at the EMD level. Why is that? And if they could help reduce the cost to keep our county compliant with the mandate passed in May of 2016, going to effect in May of 2018.
Good question.
And if I could address a couple of things that were myself. First of all, with the mandate being passed in May of 2016, you were 5 months into office, and there was a lot of transition going on. But this is something that we have been aware of in our office. We started talking about that really before the end of the year last year, starting to put this together. Now, so far as Cambridge Police, we kind of touched on that earlier, but the Cambridge Police, my understanding is in their new facility that they'll be going into at the former Huntington Bank. They want to keep their dispatchers there because of cost efficiencies, that their dispatchers also working the window. So if somebody comes in, they've got somebody to encounter, and they don't feel that their budget can absorb the cost of dispatching for 911 as well. Is that why they won't be training? Am I seeing that correctly?
You are, but they're also not mandated to be EMD certified. I know where Donald's coming from. When we were both down here as dispatchers, we share the same dispatching room. But with times changing, Cambridge is growing more, Sheriff's Office is growing more, we're looking for more office space. Cambridge decided, they needed to expand. And that's why they're going up to the well, everybody knows, the Huntington Bank. So when they leave the two-man station, they're going up there by themselves. So it wouldn't be as effective. Plus, we need to pass this levy to make all radio systems good, not just a 911 system. Like I said, we're going to help with the fire departments. There's a lot of conversation about if they would have stayed, if they wouldn't have stayed. They're not staying, so we got to move on, and we got to try to make this work. And I see why they need their own dispatcher up there. They have to answer calls up there, phone calls, answer the window, more efficient for their officers to have their own dispatcher.
That's right. They have their own budgetary issues
Yes.
to deal with. Thank you to Alicia Hinson, Lori Marlin, and Brandon Seelock for your words of support. And also, we're Donald, not opposed to the levy, concerned and hopeful. So, and we appreciate that.
Thanks, Donald.
And, we're not asking people to mindlessly vote yes just because,
and I'm not,
because we're
not
telling you to.
false information either. I'm telling you right now, you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the answer. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to find it.
Exactly right, and the questions are legitimate. And
Right.
I mean, it's our money, it's our tax dollars. We want to make sure they're used
Exactly.
wisely. And it's one thing about Guernsey County. Whether it's responding to flood issues, or when we have Secret Santa, or we got our annual food drive coming up here in a couple weeks. Guernsey County has a way of sniffing out legitimate need.
Yep.
And then we're not an affluent county by any stretch of the imagination, but we're a county that is big-hearted, and they understand where a need is. And this is one of those things that when you're dealing with 911 has never been any more important than it is right now.
Correct.
And we've never had any more cellular phones out there than we do right now, and so many landlines that have been unplugged.
Yes.
Just because of the cost savings. It's just really, really important.
Well,
Eric Smith, thank you. It says, Gary, when
Yes.
you have places like Detroit where it can take an hour to get an emergency
right.
services and every second counts. That's right. Cassie Whaley, lived here all my life, and I know how important it is for people to know landmarks, especially in emergencies. That's an absolute truth, Cassie.
Yes.
Raylan Forchie, not alone 5-digit house numbers, but roads that are named the same, like Virtue Road off of Old 21.
Mount
Yeah.
Zion Road.
There you go.
It has the mount in front of it.
Local people will be more likely to know where it is. You're right. And there's some roads that we do have that you have a hard time getting into a GPS. That's just the way it is.
What's exciting about the up-and-coming new 911 system is they're going to be able to text for an emergency also. I mean, heaven forbid that somebody breaks in your house and you can't get on the phone and say something. You can actually text into our system that the new upgrade's coming. So we don't want to lose all these exciting new features that we're going to get also for our system.
Okay, we have a couple of questions. Also, thank you to Graham Janusik for your comments there. Justin Turner is asking, not that it should matter, but can we talk about how little it's going to cost an average family? And we touched on that early on, but we've been on for a while
That's
now.
okay.
And in the big picture, not a whole lot.
No, I mean, it's a couple pizzas. It's for a $100,000 home, it would be $35 a year.
And that's value.
I think it is.
It really is. Teresa Galbraith Webb is asking, how many additional dispatchers will you need to hire? Just asking for a friend.
Oh, yeah, sure. I have to double my force. So right now I have 4.5 dispatchers. The thing with what we're doing now, with this double dispatching, what we're going to do is we're going to have somewhat of an overtime budget. Right now we don't have one up in dispatch. So when a dispatcher calls off or is off sick or takes a vacation day, we got to yank a guy off the road to work dispatch, which, not showing my hand, but we don't have a whole lot of deputies, and everybody knows that. We have 528 square miles of county to cover. So when we're taking somebody off the road to cover dispatch, that's not only putting our deputies at risk, it's putting you guys at risk because we can't get there quick enough. It's just an unfortunate scenario we're in. We don't have a lot of money. So with this levy, we would have 2 dispatchers a shift. Dispatchers would be covering dispatchers if someone's off, leaving the guys on the road where they need to be.
Tina Sheeler Harper, Sheriff, is saying, wouldn't this also free up a deputy during times of disasters or critical incidents?
Perfect.
Certainly a deputy
Yes.
has to come in and help out. So exactly what you were
Perfect
just
question.
talking
Yes.
about. And also budget-wise, now we're talking about having money that will be specifically used and only used for 911.
Correct.
And enhanced communications
Yes.
with our first responders and fire companies and so on in the county. So that means that other pot of money we don't have to touch.
Don't have to touch.
It will not adversely affect the staffing for getting deputies out on the road.
And correct, and our commissioners have agreed that my budget will stay my budget. This levy is over and above my budget to fund our system that we need desperately.
Right. So bottom line is, if we're generating a little over $800,000 a year, we are not going to be reducing the other end of the sheriff's budget, it won't be touched. I can tell you that. Jennifer Johnson, we have her support.
I want to say this, though, and not tooting your horn or the other commissioners. They are behind us 100% with law enforcement. You guys have helped us out tremendously, and you'll continue to be helping us out.
Well, I'll tell you, from the bottom of my heart, I could not be more proud to be associated with your department. And the people that you have in this building are terrific. And talk about a dedicated group.
And I said department, it's office.
Yeah, office.
I would have got
yeah.
gigged
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
Buckeye State
yeah.
Sheriff's Association. For
Yeah,
that.
Sheriff's Office. That's why we call it the SO.
Yeah. I hope nobody's walking
Yeah,
from BSSA because I owe $1.
Yeah, there you go. Well, okay, we'll collect later on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Kayla Michelle Weir is saying, can you elaborate more on the additional features of the new system that will provide to the residents? And really, the biggest thing is the medical attention.
The medical attention is huge. I think the phase 3, I think, is what you're talking about. What I do know about the phase 3, it's just going to be more enhanced. I mean, just like any computer you get, it's going to be more enhanced with texting. There's going to be a better way of communicating through 911. Got about 10 minutes? Okay. So there's a lot of exciting features. Some of the features I don't even know about yet that's coming our way through the new 911 enhanced system. So we want to keep that local. We want to keep that here. And the big thing about this 911 system, one of the huge things is finding people. We use cell phones to find people in medical emergencies. So we want to keep that here.
Well, let's talk about, you have somebody that has been hunting out of Salt Fork.
Yes.
They didn't make it back in before dark, and
Right.
they've gotten disoriented. You can take the call and you can triangulate,
Yes.
and also with the help of your volunteer mounted patrol,
Yep, got our
that
mounted
is
search and rescue.
Yeah, that's a search and rescue. Yeah, that would. Thank you for defining that.
Yes.
They do a great job. Very dedicated group, but this cellular technology has made their time much more effectively used.
Oh, absolutely. When you can ping somebody right to their location or within feet of their location, that's huge.
Yeah, it really is.
That's finding. I mean, back when I was started, I don't want to say how many years ago, but we didn't have that feature. We didn't have great radio communication like we do now with the MARC system.
Barb Connolly Huff, we need to pass this. Thank you, Barb. Also, Chris Faust, keep up the good work, Jeff.
Thank you.
Kim Oliver says, we support you, Sheriff Paden. Continue to protect the residents of Guernsey County. Sarah Jeffrey says, it's up to us, Guernsey County, we need this. And it is an us thing.
It is an us thing.
We need to take care of ourselves.
It's a team effort.
Here.
I mean, we got to do this together.
Yeah, exactly right. And, we all pay the taxes, regardless of whether you're an elected official or not, or whatever the case may be. That's just the way it works. And again, we're talking about generating $800,000 plus, and if you have a $100,000 home, only $35 a year. So those numbers are really marvelous. And with the help that we can offer to the fire departments in the county to try to get everybody up and running on the MARC system to more effectively communicate would be great. I was at a broadband conference yesterday in Columbus, and I've kind of seen the future. And there are some exciting possibilities, and MARC's is the tip of the iceberg. And this really will supply a foundation there. And I see Mike Gibson asking, will this levy provide any MARC's communication equipment agencies, fire, EMS, or law enforcement? Yes.
I don't know about buying the radios. We'll have to discuss that. But we have ways of getting radios, the MARC's radios now.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I see where he has equipment in there, but talking about the big issue with the county fire departments has really been the fees, that monthly licensing, and they need that to keep the network of towers operational and the system in general. So it's not unreasonable, but it's still a large cost. It was at $20 per radio per month. The state has cut that back to $10, and that is a lot of money, and that's why we, with the levy and with what we can do from the commissioner's office, we really want to help out on that. Zach Tidrick is asking, if we pass this and Noble County doesn't pass theirs or doesn't have enough revenue to start theirs, will we start taking their calls and get more tax money from Noble County to help our county?
Well, it's a great question, Zach. I don't want to speak for the sheriff there, but they're going to be in the same boat as we are in, and I don't know what they have going on, and I don't want to show their hand if they have something that they're going to try to do or contract with someone else. I'm not sure, but good question, Zach. Possibly we could be taking their 911 calls.
Sandy Miller says, get out and vote Guernsey County, and you would expect that from someone on the Board of Elections
Thank
to say
you,
that.
Sandy. And
Yeah,
you know, all the people on here, word of mouth, please.
Yeah.
Low
Yeah.
income, remember?
There you go.
Low budget.
She's, low budget. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, this campaign has been on a shoestring for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Sandy points out that the Board of Elections have extended hours for absentee voting all weekend, and we sure appreciate that. Victoria Williams asking, can someone with pending felony charges vote yes for this? Until you're convicted of a felony, I think you're still voting.
Well, yeah, and ask Sandy. I mean, go to the down to the election.
She would be an election information guru.
And that's at the Commissioner's Building on the bottom floor.
Right, and you can go to guernseycounty.org and go to the Board of Elections link, and you should be able to find some information there as well. As we're winding down to our last 4 minutes here. David Skurlock says the levy is extremely important to our county. Will definitely have my vote. Daniel Rowe says, I see an extra 911 charge on my cell phone bill. Is there any way to just bump up the price on everyone's phone bill via 911 charge?
I wish it could.
That way it doesn't
No,
just rely on the taxpayer. Unfortunately,
I think that's a mandate of some sort.
yeah, the law doesn't permit that, I do believe, at least the way it is right now. But you know, that's something that you could contact our state legislators about, and a very solid question to be asked.
Yes, it is. That's a good question. Like I said, we are maxed out on sales tax, so the only thing we can do is a levy.
And we're just about maxed out on time, and I just want to make sure that we have touched enough of our bases here, and encourage you to, as we get down to our last 3 minutes, if you have any other questions, please get them in now. We don't want to leave anybody hanging out there. And I see some notes up here that you might want to address here as we're kind of wrapping things up.
So when we pass this, what you're going to get is an upgrade on your 911 system that's coming, texting capabilities, upgraded software, 2 dispatchers per shift, 2 full stations to answer phone calls at, and like I said, emergency medical dispatcher qualified. Also, we're going to help the fire departments get to where we need to be, where we have to be with communication. And, you know, we keep 911 local. We keep it here in our county where it needs to stay. We don't want somebody else answering it.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. And by the way, there's kind of a question a little off topic, but I'll answer it nonetheless. Stephanie Louise is saying, I wish you start providing more funds for the county dog shelter. And good comment. And by the way,
I actually run it. I'm the dog warden.
Yeah, and does a fine job. And we will start construction on a renovation there. I think
project.
we're scheduled, Commissioner Saft, I believe, within the next week.
Yep, you're going to see a lot of changes.
Yeah, you will. So, Stephanie, good question. And
that staff
you'll
does a great
see some
job,
nice,
too.
Yeah.
Carla and the group down there.
We really wanted to see that done before cold weather, but it just didn't time out that way with the contractor. And Jack Robertson, all of you do a great job. Thanks for all you do. Got my vote. Thank you, Jack. Kurt Laughlin says, it's time we get our county up to date. Vote yes, yes, yes. I'm afraid there's only 1 vote per person, but I appreciate the sentiment there, Kurt.
I love that, Kurt.
Yeah, boy, we have dispatching on low band for too long, and you're right. And that's another issue there. That doesn't even talk about the paging issue and what we need out in the department as well.
Real quick.
In the county as well.
There's pagers that come with this mark system. Also, I mean, that
has that capability.
It has this capability that we hit one paging, not different pagers, and that fire department's going to get it. One paging system. Which is
boy,
huge.
if we can get to the point where we can employ that, that'd be a marvelous thing. Missy Bell, well done tonight. Jeff, very informative. Nikki Stewart said this will help provide a couple of jobs, and I think that is very important. Don't want to take jobs away from anyone. Very good point.
That's true.
Melanie Carpenter said, thanks for your time. Very informative. So
I want to thank everybody for tuning in also.
Yeah, and I want to say a big thank you, to everybody that's tuned in, everybody that's taken the time to ask questions, and the comments. I had no idea we would get that kind of positive feedback.
Nope.
God bless each of you for doing that.
Yes.
And also remember you can either email or call you or anyone on your staff.
Sure.
You have a pretty easy email address too.
3001 at guernseysheriff.com. So just remember, we're County 30. I'm Unit 1, 01, 3001 at guernseysheriff.com.
So there you go. And that'll get you some other questions on down the line. And one last comment here from Tina Sheeler Harper. This live meeting was a great idea. Thank you, Guernsey County Sheriff's Office, for all you do. And of course, my vote is yes. And Zach Ingram says, tell my wife it's not too early for Christmas decorations.
No, start decorating now.
Yeah.
We want to see Christmas lights.
Joel Losico is here. He couldn't agree more. You can go up and see the courthouse all decked out.
And it's Merry Christmas.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
But thank you to all of the comments here, and thank you to Adam Green and Joel Losico from ABC Communications for getting this all put together, and to Kenny, we call him Boog Matthews. We appreciate all you do for us IT-wise and helping out with it down here.
And everybody in the background has been helping us too.
There
I
you
want to
go.
thank you, Commissioner.
Hey,
thank you for your support.
And thank you very much, Sheriff, and all of your staff for all of you do. So, folks, just make sure you get out there and vote. Don't forget you can have early voting, and right there at the county building.
Yeah.
And county building is there waiting for you. And of course, it all has to be done by this coming Tuesday, as time is running short. Thanks a lot for tuning in. God bless you, and God bless America.